the story of slavery. The transatlantic slave trade, the forced labor, the inhumane treatment of men, women, and children, and the eventual abolition of the slave trade. But what many of us don't know is that the abolition of the slave trade in the early 19th century led to the creation of a new and even more sinister aspect of slavery: sex farms and slave breeding farms. The goal of these farms was simple: to produce more slaves. Slave owners realized that they could no longer import slaves from Africa, so they turned to breeding them like animals. They would carefully select which slaves would mate with each other based on their physical attributes, health, and even intelligence, in the hopes of producing the strongest and most profitable offspring. Slave breeding farms were located throughout the southern United States, with some estimates suggesting that there were as many as 70 in operation at the height of their popularity. These farms were often run by wealthy plantation owners who saw slave breeding as a lucrative business opportunity. But the horrors of slave breeding farms did not stop there. In some cases, plantation owners would set up sex farms, where slaves, often young girls, were forced to engage in sexual activity with other slaves or with the plantation owners themselves. The offspring of these forced sexual encounters were also seen as profitable commodities and were often sold off at auctions to the highest bidder. The true extent of these practices is difficult to quantify, as records were often destroyed or deliberately hidden. But it is estimated that thousands of slaves were forced to participate in these breeding programs, resulting in countless atrocities and human rights violations. In this video, we are going to reveal 10 of the most horrific facts of slave breeding and sex farms in the United States. These facts may be uncomfortable to hear, but it's important to acknowledge the brutality and inhumanity of slavery in all its forms. But before that, hit the subscribe button to stay on this channel for more content like this. Fact number 1. Enslaved women were seen as breeding machines and impregnated by several men. One of the most disturbing facts about sex farms during slavery is that enslaved women were seen as little more than breeding machines. Plantation owners and overseers saw them as a means of producing more enslaved people to increase their wealth and power. In order to achieve this goal, enslaved women were often forced to have sex with several men, regardless of their own desires or consent. This practice was particularly prevalent in the Deep South, where the climate and soil were well suited to the cultivation of cotton, and the demand for enslaved labor was high. Enslaved women on these plantations were often subjected to brutal physical and sexual abuse, with no hope of escape or redress. They were seen as property rather than human beings, and their bodies were treated as such. The practice of forced breeding was not limited to the Deep South, however. It was also common in other regions of the country, including the Chesapeake Bay area and the Upper South. Plantation owners in these areas also saw enslaved women as a means of increasing their wealth and power, and used them accordingly. The evidence for the forced breeding of enslaved women can be found in a number of historical sources. Plantation records, for example, often include references to enslaved women who were breeders or breeding stock. These records also reveal the number of children produced by these women, as well as their age, health, and other relevant information. In addition to plantation records, there are also numerous slave narratives that document the experiences of enslaved women who were forced to breed. One such narrative is that of Harriet Jacobs, an enslaved woman who lived in North Carolina in the mid-19th century. In her memoir, Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl, Jacobs
Well, we gotta wait till the commercial over. That's what you do when you do the ghetto hookup. Oh, come on. 2 commercials?
In her memoir, Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl, Jacobs describes the horror of being forced to have sex with her owner in order to produce children. Fact number 2. Female slaves were forced into sexual relationships with their owners or overseers. Sexual abuse of female slaves was widespread during the period of American slavery.
Whew.
Slave women were not only subjected to forced labor, but also to sexual exploitation by their owners and overseers. This practice was not limited to any particular region or plantation, but it was prevalent throughout the American South. The first evidence of sexual abuse of female slaves can be traced back to the transatlantic slave trade. Female slaves were often taken captive and forced to endure the long and arduous journey across the Atlantic in cramped and unsanitary conditions. During this journey, slave women were subjected to sexual abuse by the crew members and the other male slaves. Once in the American South, female slaves...
Now what? Okay. What the heaven? What the stuff just be doing what it want to now? I don't know if y'all noticed that shit just turned off. It's like, okay, we are not going to let you look at that. What the hell? Wow. Okay, so the whole purpose of me trying to show that video was that it is within part of my heritage and part of what I'll be teaching soon. You know, that most people thought that slavery or the slave trade from Africa to here ended when slavery, so-called, ended in the 1800s. No, they made it a law to stop importing slaves, so-called slaves, to the Americas because we, the Angolans, kept having these revolutions and killing people and stuff. So they were like, okay, stop the importation of slavery. So when they stopped it, that's when they started these breeding farms. And again, it's especially important to me because in the Washitaw, the original people of America, not the Moors from over there, Morocco, the people that was already here, the descendants or the people who mixed in with the Olmecs, etc., etc. I'm gonna get into all that. They were taken and bred with the Africans that were brought over here. And one of the biggest breeding farms was called Angola State. Well, now it's Angola State Prison. Now, today, it still exists. People still pick cotton. But it was a breeding farm first, and then when they really started coming down on slavery, it just simply transformed into a prison. So if you do the history, that's where prisons started coming from. Because before, they didn't have these big giant prisons. They just had, you know, the little town or the sheriff would, you know, they do whatever they do to you. They might wait for the magistrate to come into town. But they didn't have prisons with hundreds and thousands of people in one spot, all in, you know, in a cell. That's a whole construct as an extension of so-called slavery. So I'm gonna get into all that on another video. I wanted to play that video, but I guess I'm gonna have to find it on YouTube, and then I'll play it or post it. But for now, the green light room. I'm getting ready to do a video on all that stuff I just taped on the wall about my super hero formula. Soon. Like, I think I'm gonna do it today. I'm out. Peace.